Hi! In this video I'm going to teach you how to make colors for pixel art. So color is a really complex subject, so I'm going to make just the basics in this video. So I have a sphere with a base color and I'm going to make 3 shade colors for that sphere and 2 light colors for the sphere. So I'm going to pick my sphere, and in the advanced color selector, vertically you have the lightness of your color and horizontally you have the saturation. In this bar you have the hue of the color, that's basically the color that is, for example, red, green, blue, and so on. And another thing important about color in pixel art is that you really have a lot of contrast and therefore little colors. You don't have a color similar to another one because that's just wasting space. So we are going to shade our sphere in a bad way for the first time. I'm going to select my color and I'm going to make it darker, then darker again, darker, and I'm going to make 2 light colors. If I go like there, then I reach the top, and as you can see, these 2 colors are really similar. So if I want to make it lighter, I can just decrease the saturation. And now I'm going to shade my sphere with this palette. I'm going to select my darkest color, and there we go. So we have a sphere with this palette. Now we are going to shade the same sphere but with better colors. So I'm going to duplicate this sphere. I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to make another palette. This time I'm going to make it darker, but I am also going to make it less saturated. And also an important part is to shift the hue towards blue, so to the left, like this. I'm going to go a little bit more dark, and I'm going to do the same thing again. Darker, less saturated, and more blue. The same thing. And for the light part, I'm going to make it lighter, less saturated, and I'm going to shift towards yellow, so to the right, less saturated, and less saturated, and more towards yellow. Now I'm going to replace the colors of my sphere, the same sphere, with the new palette. And that's basically it. As you can see, the right sphere looks much more attractive. I can also make an outline like this. And that's basically how to pick colors. You don't just pick your base color and then make it darker each time or less saturated. You also need to shift the hue. You can also make changes to the colors of a whole layer. For that, you're going to select the layer that you want to modify, right click, add filter mask, and you will have this. So you have a lot of filters. I'm going to go really fast in the important ones. So I'm going to start with color balance. With this, basically you can balance the colors in the shadows, midtones and highlights of your image. So, for example, in the shadows, I can make my shadows more towards cyan. I can add more magenta, more blue, and things like that. The same in my midtones, I can add more red, for example, or green, or blue, and in my highlight, I can also do the same thing. The saturate, this one is basically going to make your layer black and white. You have different methods. This one is the best one, in my opinion. The saturation is a little bit complex to explain the different methods, but it's there, it's an option. Hue, saturation and value adjustment, this basically you can adjust the hue like this, the saturation, and the lightness of your color. Invert is going to invert your colors. Levels, I don't really use that. And color adjustment, this one is really good if you want to make more contrast. So you can make shape like this and like this, and you will have more contrast. So this is basically going to create this like this. So you can disable to see the changes, and you can always right click in this mask, go to properties and then change it again. So this is really useful when you are basically at the final stage of your picture and you want to make some corrections to the colors of your picture. There are a lot of color palettes that you can use in pixel art. In this website you have a compilations of different color palettes that you can download and use. If you have played, for example, in the first Game Boy, you will know that the colors are green. Something like this. So right here you have a compilation of color palettes with different pictures made with those color palettes, so you can have a reference. So I'm going to download one. For example, this one, Oil 6. I can press here, download palette file. This is free, of course. I'm going to select the PNG image at 1%, 100%, right click, save as, and I'm going to save the PNG. Now, to use the palette, you have to import that image to your document. So you go to Layer, Import Export, Import Layer, and then you select your palette. You have it there, you can move it. I'm going to merge my two layers, and now I can choose replace the colors of my palette. For this exercise you will have to open this image. You will have 3 copies of a character, and I want you to shade or color each copy with your own color palette. I made one like this, and you have to make at least 3 with a different color palette for each one. You are also free to modify the shape of the character. So please post your results in the Q&A so I can give you feedback. So I hope you have fun with this exercise, and see you in the next video. So this is the end of the basics of pixel art. In the next section we are going to make an item set for a video game in pixel art. So I hope you have fun, and see you in the next section.